Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the hybrid seminar of the Filipinske Yan Technology FHS in collaboration with Migrant Citizen Science Association or MCSA. I'm Bobby, a volunteer and the volunteer simulator of FHS. And together with me is also a volunteer in FHS, Anne, who is joining us digitally. And for everyone's information, FHS is an NGO which helps with information drive to benefit the migrants who in Norway. We are not from MCSA, but today the representatives from MCSA who will be joining us shortly will present important information regarding a short overview to open science and citizen science among Filipino migrants.
Thank you, Novi, for the very warm welcome and introduction. Hello to our all viewers and welcome to our hybrid event on an introduction and a short overview to open science and citizen among Filipino migrants. The aim of this hybrid seminar is to get to know some of the most important information and to be introduced and get some overview to open science and citizen science. Kindly let us know which city or country you came from. Just leave a comment down below and let's make our comment section interactive. I think there's a lot of people right now waiting for this event because they think that this topic is very relevant, and it is indeed. Joining us today are three representatives from MSCA, and they will talk to us more about the topic. So, without any further ado, let me give the floor to Love, Jones, and Rose to introduce about their organization and to give us overview about the topic.
All right, so welcome. So before we dive into the session, so let's get to know our speaker first a little better. So could you please take a moment to introduce yourselves and share a brief overview of your experience in science or citizen science among Filipino migrants? So, good idea. Yeah. Overview. There.
Hello, everyone. I'm Love Manundo, and I came here in Norway since 2017. And I am currently the chairman of the board of Migrant Citizen Science Association, or in short, MCSA. And this association or this organization is comprised of different people from different races or ethnicities. Um, the deputy chair is from Ghana, and mostly, but the team is mostly Filipinos. And we're very lucky that a lot of Filipinos are very interested in joining the organization, and this is probably a more challenging and more um, interesting part on us because this might bring us new information, new opportunity on how to handle problems, issues that Filipino are experiencing. So that's all, and that's my introduction. And now I will give the mic to Rose, who is the advisory board member of CSA.
Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It's wonderful to meet all of you. My name is Rosemary Bernabe, and as mentioned by my wife, Love, I am a member of the advisory board of FCSA. I also represent another. Well, I'm also here as a professor of medical research ethics from the University of Oslo. And I say that because associated with MCSA is an open science project called Responsible Open Science Mirror Project. And therefore, I'm here to hopefully assist MCSA in this introduction. Thank you.
And how about you, Sir Jones? Sir Jones is joining us online.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today. I have some challenges, so I have to do it online. Yeah, my name is Jones, and I'm the co-founder for MCSA Norway. So I'm actually a friend to Love. We met back in Oslo Met for a master's program. So later on, she sent me a message that she has an idea that we can put together and create something. And that is when we end up creating this organization. So in short, it was Love's idea, and we are all coming together to support to make it happen.
All right, so thank you so much. We are truly fortunate to have your expertise and experience in this seminar. So,
Filled with diversity and movement, a remarkable organization is paving the way for change. Introducing the Migrant Citizen Science Association, or MCSA for short. MCSA is a groundbreaking initiative that harnesses the power of migrant involvement in citizen science to promote equitable research practices and ensure diverse perspectives are reflected. Through this advocacy and approach, MCSA connects migrants with various citizen science projects, activities, and communities. From monitoring wildlife and tracking environmental changes to gathering vital data and analysis, these citizen scientists play a crucial role in advancing scientific knowledge. But MCSA is more than just scientific research. It's a platform for social integration, empowerment, and promoting an atmosphere of openness and respect to encourage the inclusion of diverse people. Through citizen science projects, workshops, training, network, public awareness campaigns, education, community building, and research and development, MCSA provides opportunities for migrants to develop new skills, learn about their environment, become advocates, promote scientific literacy, participate actively. By contributing to cutting-edge research and sharing their unique perspectives and experiences, these citizen scientists are not only creating positive change but also promoting diversity and inclusivity, including sustainability and communication. Join the Migrant Citizen Science Association and be part of a global citizen science movement where everyone belongs. Together, we make a change. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Visit our website at www.mcsa.website. Join us.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't bring any PowerPoint. I just had a challenge. I lost all my data today. So I'll present just orally without any PowerPoint presentation. So like I said earlier, the MCSA Norway was an idea brought by Love. We were mates back in school for our masters. So later on, she asked me to meet her so that we can bring an idea together where we can involve migrants in research. Because what we've seen is that in most cases, when there is a research about challenges we have in society, migrants are not involved in it. So there's a need for us to come together and form an organization whereby we can empower research process through the use of migrants. So that is how come we came with the name Migrant Citizen Science Association. We formed the association in April this year. Our goals, I'll be very fast because of time. Our goals are about 10, but I'll give you about 5 of them. One of our main goals is to encourage and support migrants to actively participate in the scientific process. Like I said earlier, in most cases, migrants are ignored or overlooked when it comes to research. So we, as an organization, as an NGO, our focus is to make sure that when there's a research about the society, we make sure that we try to involve migrants also in the process. Now, how do we involve migrants in this? In most cases, we do research using experts. But then, if you look at the new trend of research, it's looking at research where the people being affected by the results are also involved. And these people should not actually be researchers or scientists. They should be normal people who do their daily activities. Example, someone who is a shopkeeper, who is a tailor, is a carpenter, hairdresser, can also be part of research if given the necessary tools. So this is what we are looking at. But our main focus is the migrants because they are overlooked in most cases when there is a research. Not only in Norway, that is something which happens throughout the developed countries. Another goal too is to increase or build a network for migrants in the scientific process. So as we involve migrants in the process of research, we also build a network which helps these migrants. And in doing that, it helps most of them to also have interest in doing research. Probably somebody may like to be a researcher, but then the information he or she has does not motivate him or her to go into research. But when we involve them through these projects, they are well empowered and they know what it takes to be a researcher. And as such, they may be empowered to join or become researchers in the future. We build networks whereby we integrate the immigrants or the migrants together with scientific researchers that we work with. One of our goals is to increase public awareness of the contribution that migrants can make to science. Like I said earlier, in most cases, the migrants are overlooked because people may think the migrants are uneducated or poorly educated, and they may not have the necessary qualities or um, uh, skills to be involved or to even talk to get information from them. But that is wrong. So we are looking at increasing public awareness of the contribution that migrants can make, because we have migrants who have very deep knowledge of a lot of things that happen in a country. Take it for example, in Norway, migrants actually have more knowledge in the immigration process than even the Norwegians themselves. So, in doing a research about immigration in Norway, if you overlook the migrants, then you are overlooking key information that can come from these migrants if they were to be involved in the process. Our mission as MCSA is to empower and enrich the scientific process by promoting the active participation of migrants in the research process. We aim at doing this by giving people who are not researchers the necessary training, the necessary tools, and also creating the network which will help them to collect data. You know, the main idea of the citizenship science is that we shift from the traditional methods of research to a different method whereby people who are not researchers are asked to collect data. And in our organization, we are looking at using migrants. So in our organization, our mission is to make sure that, or to help enrich the process of data collection or scientific process by empowering migrants to collect data about issues that affect them. Example, if we are going to do a research about immigration, we as an organization, MCSA, if we are involved in this research process, what we shall do is we are going to empower migrants, give them the necessary information, the necessary training, and the tools that they will need for them to be able to collect data. And we collect this data, which can be used by the research team to enhance the scientific process. That is our mission. And we have not been actively involved in any process yet because of some delays with our registration, but we are working on it. We have been in touch with some organizations who are positive about we joining them in their process of research and data collection. So hopefully in the near future, we will expand our activities and programs. Membership to the MCAS is open to all, but we actually encourage more migrants to join our organization because our focus is on the migrants, because we think migrants are overlooked when it comes to the process of research in Europe, not only Europe, even the Americas, it happens. So in brief, this is MCSA, and thank you for your audience.
that we are experiencing at the moment. And what is it? Audio? Audio? Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Ah!
Yeah.
Okay. So, hindi pala naka-on.
Yes.
Pwede na akong kumanta. Okay, so, again, the migrant citizen science, I'll try to take back a little bit and talk about a little more about the things that I said a while ago. So I will talk about citizen science and how it is relevant to open science. And then along the way, we're going to tackle all the things that involves migrants in citizen science. So, okay. So, ayos? Tingnan mo, malakas. So, citizen science is a very important element of open science, in fact. And because of that, ayan, these two cannot be separated. Parang ako at si Rose. Wala na para
Yeah.
okay lang? Okay. So, then to my next slide.
Yeah.
So, we will discuss among, next slide please. So, there are several definitions of citizen science that came out. But I chose the European Citizen Science Association because this is the most prominent citizen science organization in Europe, and it is actively participating in different kinds of research. And at the moment, I think they're part of your research groups, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, citizen science, I said, is not just a field, but it's a framework, it's an approach where the participation of the general public in scientific processes is highly encouraged. And an open science and inclusive approach, for example, by supporting being part of the exploration, shaping and development of the different aspects of citizen science movements, its better understanding and use for the benefit of decision making. So it means that citizens are highly encouraged to be part of the scientific processes, like from the moment it is developed, it is identified and analyzed, monitor, and then to make sure that the results are are reached to the public. And then there would be some feedbacks coming from the public. And then there goes again the cycle of scientific process. So that's what we encourage. And along the making of the definition of the citizen science from EXA, they established the criteria of what it is to be a good citizen science project. And they come up with the 10 principles that a citizen science project must require. So first, citizen science projects actively involve citizens in scientific endeavor and that generates new knowledge or understanding. So it means all stakeholders that involves in a research or a scientific project must include citizen in the process from the start up to the end of the project. And then citizen science projects have a genuine genuine science outcome. So it's not about something that it comes out of mind just like, oh, immediately. But it underwent a series of testing, analysis, and based on data gathered by citizen scientists. And that means that the results are really legit. And third is both the professional scientists and the citizen scientists benefit from taking part. So we have to make sure that not just the citizens, scientists, or I mean, not just the researchers, the institutions that are involved in the research are, getting the positive impact or the benefit of the study. So we have to make sure that this form of knowledge or studies will go back to the citizen or the public. And the next one is citizen scientists may, if they wish, participate in multiple stages of the scientific process. So it means they're not obliged to be part of the scientific process, but they are also asked where are they equipped, where are they willing to join or skilled to join in those different processes of science. And the next one is citizen science is considered as a research approach, as I've said, like any other, and with the limitations and biases that should be considered and controlled for. So we can say that citizen science is bias-free approach in science. It still has biases, the same as other approaches in science. But to make sure that citizen science is or could have less biases in the outcome, we have to include other stakeholders, or the more it is inclusive, the more it is diverse, then the less biased the result would be. So that goes on with citizen science project data, metadata are made publicly available, which means that it is not kept and be only accessible to institutions or to scientists, but also applicable or accessible to the general public, where everyone all throughout the world, whether it's in Europe or in the Philippines or in Asia, they could have the results or the data accessible. And citizen science programs are evaluated for their scientific output, but data quality, participant experience, and wider societal or policy impact. So citizen science programs are not just there for the benefit of the scientists, but it has to be societal impact. It has to be valuable to society, to everyone, to even the least advantaged person in society. So we have to put that in mind that in research, we have to give importance to the least fortunate, to the least advantaged individual. And the last one would be the leaders of citizen science project take into consideration legal and ethical issues surrounding copyright, intellectual property, data sharing agreements, confidentiality attribution, and environmental impact of any activity. So it means even it is open to everybody, it still has to undergo a specific requirement to be more secure or confidential as much as possible. It's not just, I have to give all my data and available with no consent or things like that. So next slide, please. So I have here examples of citizen science projects that you can actually Google online. And this is Global Citizen Science Project, the eBird, which is, I think this is hosted by Cornell University and Audubon Bird something organization that monitors and the birds species all throughout the world. And you can actually play this video. This is a short one. This one, the other one. The bird. The bird. I think there. Okay, so never mind. Hindi mo play. So actually, the eBird is an online-based platform where anyone could have access to whether they found new species, new form. flock of birds. I don't know avian studies covered with, but these are all everything that everything or all information about birds, bird watchers,
Including the migration.
yeah, the migration of the birds, how it is instinctively deteriorating.
Because of the human
Yeah.
activities.
And the important aspect is anyone can be a member of the
Yeah.
platform.
The
If you
platform.
see special birds,
Yeah.
if you want to volunteer for a bird watching event,
Yeah, you can do
then
that.
you become a citizen scientist.
So citizen scientist is not just, an ordinary person, but it is actually a researcher.
Because the first thing
Citizen scientists are researchers.
because the first thing that comes into mind when they hear citizen science is more of like researchers and scientists.
Yeah, but everyone can be citizen scientists, and all of us. So if we are, for example, a person from the Philippines have seen a different kind of bird, then you can have also like how do you call that? You can log in, you can register your name, so you can actually monitor what are the birds that you've been recorded so far.
Or be part of specific projects.
Oh,
and birds.
Yeah.
So if they say, for example, Norway and this area, like
Yeah.
Oslo, and we need bird watchers, if you're
Yeah.
interested, at
Who
least
are-
for them
yeah.
who wants to be part of that, you can be a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very good platform where it's easy for them, the scientists or the host scientists or the ones conducting the study could easily communicate. So actually, technology is a very good part in revolutionizing citizen science. So the other one is Zooniverse, and this is also, I think, an American US-based platform where this includes various disciplines like astronomy, biology, climate science, and maritime life,
biology.
and this is also includes citizens all throughout the world. And next slide, please. And to introduce you further about citizen science, in Norway we also have citizen science projects. And I just posted two citizen science project which is very known, the Norwegian bird count or Fågeltelling, or Fågelvennen, which means friend, bird friends. Fågelvennen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Bird friends.
Bird friends. So yeah, this is also a platform where, well, this is nationwide.
Yeah.
This is only available in Norway. So whichever you are in Norway, you can actually register in the Fågelvennen. Okay, if you want to make friends with birds, then you can register here. And you can record all the birds within your sighting. So, and you can also record their sounds. So you can play the sounds, in fact, in each pictures. And this platform is hosted by three organizations, which is the Bird Life Norge, the Universitetet i Agder, University of Agder, and the University of Bergen. And these three are the three initial who established this program. The next one is the Art Data Bank and Citizen Science Portal. So which means this is responsible for the archiving of the different citizen science projects all throughout the country in Norway. And this includes different forms of projects or monitoring or anything, research about the biodiversity. So here we can see the kinds of mushrooms that you see. I don't know if you do foraging. Rose and I love to do
Yes, in the
foraging
forest.
at this time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh.
The mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Right now. And the
We
berries.
use 6 types of mushrooms, by the way.
Oh,
And we
I
eat
know.
all of them, and we're still alive. And the next slide, please. So the impact of citizen science, I looked into different sources, and the first one is the advancement of scientific knowledge. We all know that scientific knowledge is dominated by Western countries, by European countries, and by male. So this is something that we are avoiding to continue. That's why we are encouraging more and more citizens, more and more women who will take part in in the research processes or in the research itself. So the next one is the data collection and monitoring. So you can think about example, bird watching. If you just assign the scientists to monitor bird, it will be costly, right? You go to one place to another place, and I mean, it's really hard for the scientists to go to different places with just not enough resources or just by himself. So unlike with the citizens who are involved in the monitoring or researching, so it is cost efficient in fact. And it is not only that it's cost efficient, but you can actually ask more information about anything, about how the person experiences or senses the birds, saw the birds, what direction, things like that. So there are things that a normal scientist could not reach, but the citizen itself can. So these are the advantages. And the next one is the engagement and education. So when we are engaged in citizen science, we are in fact improving humanity. We are improving the intellectual capacity of society, the way they handle things, the way they perceive things, the way they could sense what is fake news and what's not, what is good and what's bad. So these are things that are very important in making citizen science involved in our daily life or in the citizens' activities. So the next one is community building. So in citizen science, you can also have community building, just like in FHS. So we can gather, we can talk about things, what are the problems that you encounter, how you solve the problem, how you take this problem, all these issues. So community building is very important, in fact, for migrants. Yeah, if we're in the foreign places, we have no one, we have no family. So the only one who can we rely, who we can rely on are migrants themselves, right? So, and policy and advocacy. So without policy makers, if we cannot influence policy makers and the activists or the ones who's advocating the, the science, the institution, the universities, politicians, things like that, then we don't have enough power to influence or to make change. So we really have to do it strongly and collaboratively, collectively, exactly. So scientific literacy is said, so this is like related to education and the innovation and technology. So innovation and technology, as I've said, I asked Rose a while ago, what is the translation of resilience in Tagalog? Then she said, kawayan, ano ba is kawayan? Bamboo. It's hard to think of the exact translation of resilience, but that's what came up in my mind because innovation is something that, you adapt or flexible to one's environment just for you. But it is also a double sword trade. Sometimes because we are so resilient, we just, given, yeah. You know what I mean. Filipinos are very known to be resilient, but I don't think it's a good trait.
It's both positive
It's
and
both
negative.
positive, it has pros and cons at the same time. Okay, so next slide, please. And participation in citizen science. I find out that there's a study that showed that among the non-academic parties involved in peer models of research, education, and social welfare, our social care, the identified participants, the least unidentified participants are the immigrants.
Yeah.
So imagine, we are the least notable participants among the unidentified. So double murder. So that's what I think that it's very important for minors to be seen and to be heard as well. In not only in what we're doing, but in formal education and research. So the next slide is about scientists and citizen science. How are they
Go together.
How are they relevant? How are they similar? So it doesn't mean that if this person is a scientist and this is citizen scientist, they are different. Of course not. They underwent the same problem. They underwent the same learning hindrances. So they have also a way of how to learn things, and they also have ways. The citizen scientists have ways how to learn things. So how does citizen science learn? How does scientists learn? So imagine these are can you see the details? So this is how the participants learn, which is the citizen scientists, how the scientists learn. So yeah, it's a lot, but you can see the goal for this diagram is to show that we shouldn't be perceived as the disadvantage.
Yeah.
In fact, both ways are learning each other. No one is,
Higher.
how do you call that? Yeah.
Above.
Above or below in the scientific process. But in fact, they all their involvement or their contribution are important in the process. So next slide. So this is the mapping of the venue where you can learn citizen science. So there are 6 venues where you can actually, as citizens, we can learn citizen science or improve our scientific knowledge from formal education, of course. If we go to school, we learn how to conduct research, how to hypothesize things, how to identify problems, and how to make solutions. And then we can replicate that. So that's the meaning of it. And then if the person is out of school, it's not at the end where you can learn science or scientific issues. You can also learn that from science and nature clubs, summer camps, outdoor education, things like that. So you can get involved in any kinds of activities where you can learn something about your environment, your surroundings. And the next one is local and global communities, neighborhood associations, activities associations like FHS, like the MCSA. There's a lot of organizations that give necessary trainings, necessary skills that could improve actually our daily lives. And other than that, we could also make online communities. Like for instance, our nurse prep,
Yeah.
we do that online. But then, because of the limitations that we have, we can't really
Yeah.
get the exact nurse prep that we want to. But online communities are very much into, there are lots of opportunities for us to get involved ourselves in different kinds of activities that we are interested in. Families. Families, not just our families, but other families. We could learn from other families how they will solve things, how they overcome or how they service how they manage their financial stabilities, how they would cope problems, things like that. Hindi yung magbahay-bahay ka na magmarites. Not like that kind of families, okay? So the next one is museum. So it's good that we're here because we have the opportunity to visit museums. If not for free, it's
Very minimal.
it's how you call that?
affordable.
Affordable.
Minimal.
Oh, no? Yeah. But in the Philippines, I think.
But there are some
Oh,
paid, but
but
most of them.
yeah, that's the irony. And the last one would be the online citizen science. So probably the best example would be our organization because we also provide services and activities that could enhance citizen science skills or scientific skills of individuals involved.
Do you provide training?
Yes, or we just have exposure trips, things like that. And we could also have collaborations with book clubs where we could study topics all together for one session and another session, things like that. So next slide. So the importance of migrants in citizen science. So this is where we want to push migrants. So imagine the existing citizen science now that we are experiencing. Without migrants, we could simply say that it is still Eurocentric. It is still knowledge being produced or knowledge being done are still male-centered, are still Western-centered. So why should we not push ourselves as migrants to get involved in the scientific processes so that we will not be hidden or not heard? Because in effect, if we are not heard, then policies, things that that we should be enjoying or the things that the locals could benefit, we could not have it as well. And so with the participation of migrants, sustainability, health issues, education, social justice are somehow being handled. Next slide, please. So these are the barriers why migrants or why citizens are afraid to get involved in science or in citizen science projects. So one of them is the language, which we all know. If we're in a country where it's not English speaking or things like that. So that would be a problem. The communication, cultural differences, and access to information and technology, because we don't have the gadget, the necessary knowledge how to use the technology, the lack of awareness, and also the time constraint. If we are occupied with jobs and we don't have the time to engage in other things, then that would also interrupt or hold us from engaging to citizen science projects. Social isolation, that's how we feel always as migrants. And limited education in science literacy. Now the Philippines is going down each year. And perceived relevance. Ito, every time I ask somebody to, oh, please join us, and then they was, how can we benefit from MCSA? So, they always think the perceived relevance.
Yeah.
They always think, ano ang benepisyo na makukuha?
What's in it for me?
Ano makukuha? Sabi, ay, mayroon kang picture. So, mga ganun, no? But actually, it's actually giving them that it's not a short-term benefit that we're looking at, but the long-term effect. How can we influence policies? How can we influence politics? How can we influence laws in Norway or in Europe or in the world? So these are the things that we are working on, not just on small microcosm. So fear of exploitation, because we're prone to abuse. We're just like, palagi tayong nag-iisip, no, i-exploit ako niya. Things like that. We're very paranoid. And legal and administrative barriers, probably because of status. They're undocumented because, yeah, it's really possible. They're asylum seekers. They're not allowed to do things. They have restrictions, limitations. Yeah. And the last one is the lack of representation. That is very important. And that's why we have MCSA to encourage migrants to be part of, so that we will be represented and heard and not be hidden as how science been doing in history. So the last part would be, next slide. So this is the last part. So I just tried to Google Philippines, migrants, Norway in Google Scholar, and this came out. So what is the implication of this? So all the studies that came out, it doesn't include citizen science. But in fact, it just, it talks about migrants, things like that. But
General.
yeah, as subject, the one being studied, but they are not part of the process of science. So that's a very sad story, and that's where we wanted to have a change in the science field. So that would be my presentation, and then I'll give my part to Rose to give hers about open science, the broader part.
I'll take just 10-15 minutes. So we'll have time for questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says Rose in April. So nothing's going on. Okay, let me. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So, as from
I'll just take a short time to allow people for questions. So why do I need to introduce open science? Right, so we start with this. So when we talk of open science, open science is now the way that we do science here in Europe. It's also how we do science, for example, in North America, and hopefully that countries such as the Philippines and other low-income countries will follow. When we talk about open science, it is still science. It's still how we do science. It doesn't mean that we're changing methodologies, but we're just opening methodologies. Okay, maybe 10 to 20 years ago, you know that scientists are fond of collecting data, right? Because data is the backbone of your research. You cannot do research without your data. But scientists can also be very, very possessive of their data. I collected this is my data. Yeah? Now, open science says, well, okay, even if you collected that, we funded your research. The public funded your research. So I belong to a public university here, University of Oslo, and even though I collected the data, I was funded by the public to do that. Now, open science as well, okay, wait, hold on. But why should you be the only one to benefit from your data? Why can't other researchers also use your data? So now open science says, let's open scientific processes. Because science is not just all about professors, it's not just all about researchers who are in universities or organizations. It's all about benefiting the public, and that's what open science is all about. So open data is one aspect of open science, but so is open source, open hardware, open infrastructures, open educational resources, open many things, and a very important part of that is citizen science. And that's the reason why we needed to give this kind of introduction. So citizen science is an important part of open science because citizen science means opening not only scientific instruments but also opening scientific processes, including citizens not only as research participants but as scientists themselves. And when we talk of citizens, that includes each and every single one of us here. So ibig sabihin, lahat tayo pwede maging scientifico. No? Yun yung meaning niya. Right? Next slide, please. So I'll just give you some examples. Ito yung definition ng open science. Ito yung galing sa UNESCO. Ang ginawa ko, I highlighted some parts to make it a little bit more digestible because it's quite a dense definition. Now, so according to UNESCO, open science refers to aiming multilingual scientific knowledge. So first, multilingual scientific knowledge. When we talk of scientific knowledge, what language do you think of? English, di ba? Nag-iisip ba kayo ng Tagalog? Nag-iisip ba kayo ng... Hindi! No, when you think of scientific knowledge, you automatically think of English. But open science wants to make science accessible to each and every one of us, irrespective of our languages. Yeah? So open science wants knowledge to be accessible to us, even to those who do not speak English very well. Right? And therefore strengthening the translation part. And I'm looking at Love because Love is also an official translator. Right? So, alright, and to make multilingual scientific knowledge openly available. Word openly available. Yeah? Accessible and reusable for everyone. Pag sinabi natin openly available, like, I don't know. When you were in the Philippines, did you also have problems accessing books before? Or accessing articles before when you were doing your research? Do you remember this?
You mean physically or?
Generally, whether online or
Yeah. Because of the location.
Because of the location, because journals are paywalled, because we all have limited books.
Yeah.
Right?
You have a continent that is not allowed to access the books.
Sometimes there's like a specific section for these books that
and they're paywalled.
yes.
And you have to pay to access, no? So sa mga nagpupunta, sino dito ang madalas magpunta ng library? Ako. Okay, wala naman, alam niyo na kung yung restrictions sa library, di ba? Sometimes the book is not available, sometimes a student tore down a page and you can't find the page. You know, so open science wants to make scientific knowledge openly available, accessible, and reusable for everyone. What do you mean by reusable? It doesn't only mean that you're reading it and somebody else borrows it. It also means that
I come up with my research, and the research I come up with is something you can work on based on your research. You know, that you can use my research as a foundation for, or as a source of knowledge for your other research. That's what you mean by reusability, right?
It's related.
And then it's related, but also maybe you're able to use not only my results, but also my data, but maybe also my methodology. Yeah? So making, and then to increase scientific collaborations and sharing of information, we've talked about this a lot, for the benefits of science and society, that's very important. It's not only science that benefits. More importantly, when science benefits, it has to reach to society. Pero minsan, pag sinasabi natin science, parang, wala connection yan sa akin. Malayo yan sa akin, ba't ganon? Na hindi naman tayo pwedeng tagatanggap lang. Actually, aminin man natin o hindi, lahat tayo nakikinabang sa or biktima ng siyensya. No? Gumagamit kayo lahat ng cellphone, saan nanggaling yan? Di ba sa siyensya yan nanggaling? Kung ano yung nakukuhang data sa inyo, bakit ganyan? Di ba? Bakit kung yung collect alright. And to open the process of scientific knowledge creation, evaluation, communication to society actors, and this is where citizen science is very important. Right? So ang goal ng open science ay i-open ang proseso, so dapat lahat tayo to a certain extent kung gusto natin, pwede tayo maging parte nito. Right? So next slide please. I can move beyond this. The next slide. I'm just going to give some examples. So this is an example of open access. Meron ba tayong nurses dito? Wala. No, I thought I should give.
Our president is a nurse.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. So ngayon, requirement na in fact, kung pinondohan ka ng European Commission or pinondohan ka ng Norway, requirement na ang ipapublish mo kailangan sa open access journal. Ibig sabihin, kahit na nasa Pilipinas ka o nasa Norway ka, dapat may makaka-access yung mga tao. This is an example of an open access publication, Sage Open Nursing. But there are thousands of open access journals. Right? Next slide, please. This is another example of open access publication, and this is very interesting because it's not only that the publication is open access. Pag sinabi natin open access publication, anyone can access it, but also open peer review. Meaning that what the reviewer said, what the editor said about the article is something you will be able to access. And it's not only what they said, who said what is something you'll be able to access. So you're able to follow the development of the manuscript. Yeah? If you can move. Do you think we can play this or not? Or we can take it? So here, what am I showing you here? So this is an example of not only open access, but also open data. This is really Zenodo, is a site maintained by CERN in Geneva. And what they do is that you're able to access like lots of materials, whether it's data, it's PowerPoint, it's whatever it is that people want to share in it, you know? So scientists, researchers, citizen scientists can just upload whatever they want to upload here. So these are just examples of, but you can choose whatever, yeah? So if you have time, visit Zenodo and you'll know what I mean. You know, this is really radically shared research. So if you can go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Next slide, please. This is open education, EU Academy. This is by the European Commission. So here, you don't have to pay to learn. You know, you can take any course you want, and the only thing you have to do is to sign up. Right? So with open science means open education. You know, na hindi dapat hadlang ang kawalan ng pera para magkaroon ng edukasyon. Yun yung point. Oo, hindi hadlang ang kawalan ng pinansyal para magkaroon ng kaalaman. So this is just an example, and this is open. And there are many other examples, of course. Yeah. If we move. And altmetrics. So what do you mean by altmetrics? It means that ito para to sa mga researchers na katulad ko. Meron siguro sa inyo mga researchers din. Paraan, how do you evaluate researchers? Do you only evaluate them based on their publications? That should not be. You know, ang tanong ay, saan umaabot? Where does your research reach? What does your research reach?
Yeah.
You know, does it reach the intended population? If I do research on Filipinos, does it reach the Filipinos? Not only in terms of knowing about the results of the research, but does it change how things work? And we know that in our country, this is the difficulty. Research is not related to regulation, but it must be. In this country, that is much stronger. When they see that something does not work and research says it doesn't work, they start changing things. In the Philippines, that's not necessarily the case, but that should be the case. Right? So paano ko ini-evaluate bilang researcher? Saan umaabot ang research mo? So, next. Yeah, we can skip this. Yeah, so this is just another example of open data. Again, if Europe provides you this, you have all access. Next. Crowdfunding, part natin to the open science. What does mean by crowdfunding? It means that research can be funded not only by big organizations such as the European Commission or the Norwegian Research Council, but also by the public. So what's being done here is, hey, I'm a researcher, I have this research, you upload this in this crowdfunding platform, and people start giving you money because they believe in your research. Or your cause. And if this is not democratizing science, I don't know what is. The public literally funds your research. Right? So, and citizen scientists can also do this. Next. And this is the very last one, citizen science, as already mentioned by Love. So citizen science, as I said, is a very important aspect because in the end, we cannot talk about opening science if citizens are not involved. And so these are just examples from, I think from National Geographic. Right, so of course we talk about BIRSA, but there's also what they call the World Monitoring Day, monitoring water quality. And all of us can be part of it by, for example, getting a package and measuring whatever in your water. You get a kit. Yeah, you go to a nearby lake and say, well, this pH is like this or whatever. So that kind where citizens become really scientists. No, bakit importante nga ba na maging scientific tayo? Bakit kailangan maging involved tayo? Pinag-usapan na ito ni Lau ng mahaba. Pinag-usapan dito ni Jones na mahaba. No, pero kung isipin mo, and I think this is something very important being Filipino. Filipinos always say, hindi yan relevant sa akin. Ay, wala ko pakialam siya. Masyadong hirap yan. Ay, wala kang ano na. Pero hindi, bumabalik sa atin yung kawalan natin ng pake. No? Bumabalik din sa atin. Paano bumabalik sa atin ang kawalan natin ng pake? Or actually, hindi naman siguro kawalan ng pake. Ngayon nga, ang baba-baba na talaga ng scientific literacy sa Pilipinas. Kung pwedeng bababa pa sa lupa at bababa na talaga. Bakit ganon? No? Kaya tayo nawawalan ng pake kasi feeling natin hindi natin aabot. Hindi natin naiintindihan. At hindi natin kaya. Pero hindi yun totoo. No? Hindi yun totoo. Kaya natin. No? And because science has to be there to serve our purposes.
Yeah, because the mere mention of science is kind of like threatening for
Intimidating.
Intimidating. It's science.
Ayun. No, so yeah, so that's
I have questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Rose and Love. That was very informative and oral discussion about migrant science and open science. So now let's open the floor for questions. So for those attending us here physically, do you have questions?
You mentioned about the perceived relevance. Because normally when we hear the word science, it's kind of, you said, it's intimidating. For now, here in Norway, what is the yung present project now ng citizen science that involves the immigrants? Like an example of what you have right now.
Actually, we're the first one who initiated it. In fact, if not global, if not in Norway, but globally, who is in Europe. In Europe, yeah.
initially how do you call that? Established a citizen science, which is a migrant center. So hopefully this will be the beginning of making citizen sciences inclusive and diverse. Because if citizen science will remain as the standard way of doing science, then I don't think it will result to diverse results or just
Yeah.
But in terms of projects,
Yeah.
the MCSA has just submitted with several organizations a proposal for a project on climate change and specifically flooding in the Philippines.
And Ghana, Vietnam.
And including Ghana and Vietnam. And hopefully that project will be funded because then we want as many migrants to be involved in the process, of course. But for now, it's really building up the capacity of migrants to be citizens. And so we're will be launching a whole process in citizen science. Also training events, also and also for
So, any other questions? Alright, so if there's none, I think someone who is watching us online.
I have a question. I'm just wondering about the ethical values and what ethical considerations are involved in open science and citizen science.
Yeah. I can speak first for open science. As I mentioned a while ago, I also represent a European project called Responsible Open Science in Europe. And the goal of that is to look into the ethical and integrity aspects of open science, right? So when we talk about open science, as I said, it is radically opening up science. And it sounds very good, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. Right? And one challenge is, for example, if you talk about opening scientific process, handa ba ang low and middle income countries para dito? No? So are low and middle income countries ready for this? Are we prepared for this? That's just one of the considerations. Yeah. So if you think of the Philippines, here in Europe, we have all the databases I've shared. We have the European Commission database, we have Zenodo, we have so on and so forth, right? But will the Philippines have number one, Philippines and other low-income countries have access to such as well? And if they do, no, even if they do, even if they have access to Zenodo, because Zenodo is accessible to everyone, will they have access to the software to interpret the data that they downloaded from Zenodo? So what am I talking about? I'm talking about accessibility and interoperability. This is a very big issue. And we in Europe have that responsibility to make sure that whatever data we upload is also interoperable and accessible to people from low and middle income countries. Not everyone has access to, for example, software such as NVivo. NVivo is a qualitative software which we use a lot in universities here. But it's very expensive to access that software. So even if I upload my database coming from Zenodo, no one in low-income countries will be able to use it because because the software is very expensive. That's just one. Another, and there are many ethical issues, of course, because now we're radically opening science. So another ethical issue is if we include citizen scientists, how do we include them in such a way that citizen scientists really act as scientists and not just like as glorified research participants? Yeah, that they don't feel used and abused by researchers because researchers don't know how to include citizen scientists. We don't know the citizen science processes. And I'm speaking as a researcher, right? How do we make sure that we do not exploit citizens who are part of our research? Right? And another thing, another and very important, maybe something that all Filipinos can relate to, is what we call predatory publishing. What is predatory publishing? As I told you, there are like thousands of open access journals, right? But some of them are predatory. What do you mean by predatory? It means they're not necessarily, they're not real scientific journals. But because researchers, especially PhD fellows, are required to publish at least 3 articles before they finish their PhD projects, or else they will not be able to graduate at all. They can, in fact, without knowing it, they can, in fact, publish in a predatory journal. What is wrong with a predatory journal? A predatory journal, alam niyo mga fly-by-night na mga establishmento? No, alam niyo mga legal recruiter, alam niyo mga scam, meron ding scam at may fake news din sa scientific world, and this is what you call predatory journals. No, it means that now they're open, next day you don't know, but then you pay them a fee for your publication.
So how can we be assured that it's
Yeah.
legit?
Yeah, I will get to that. And another thing, and another risk, another ethical issue will be fake news. No, so nakita natin to during COVID, right? How many? Those of you who have Facebook should have probably seen like how people kept on talking about the use of ivermectin against COVID.
Yeah.
That's fake news. But politicians in the Philippines, in fact, distributed ivermectin supposedly to cure or to avoid you getting the disease, getting infected. Ivermectin has proved to be ineffective against COVID and also poses risks because it's a very strong drug.
For animals.
And what's wrong about that? And what the problem is, sino nagpasimuno ng ivermectin ay pwede gamitin sa COVID? Yung mga nag-aral din mga nanintigan ng mga tao, hindi naman galing sa medical field, pero may PhD sa literature, halimbawa, pinamahagi yung ivermectin, hindi yung tama. Now we know that ivermectin is really not useful for COVID, and in fact, it can pose risks if you take it. So, and that's an example. Now we have many examples of different risks because we start opening science. Right? For example, climate change. Why are there climate change deniers? Because we've opened science as broad as possible. In the Philippines, we were just listening to Philippine radio this morning before coming here, and we were hearing literally commercials about how coffee can cure your hypertension. I mean, really. Because anyone and everyone seems to think that they have all the right to speak of how do you call this claims that are not scientifically proven, and that's why citizen science is very important. Citizens need to know, need to understand scientific processes. Citizens need to know and understand scientific results so that they're able to contribute in this full democratic process. Otherwise, we risk spreading fake news.
Or they could have a basis for their complaints which is scientifically sound. And the Philippines is not effective in terms of this kind of fake publishing, in terms of medical stuff or things. We have regulatory agencies who are responsible for this, but then they're not working, or they're just
They're overwhelmed.
or they don't care. That's the bad thing.
No, so madaming when we start asking for ethical issues, there are really a lot of ethical issues. Just think of something that used to be closed, now you open it to everyone. Siyempre, magkakaroon talaga ng madaming challenges yan, no? And it's our responsibility, and by our I mean those within academia, to make sure that open science really progresses in the most ethical manner without stepping on others, because that's the goal, that we democratize, that we include everyone in the process. But if we're not careful, we will step on others.
Right? That's example talaga, yung sa COVID, the measures that we experienced during COVID. Kasi the ones who's initiating all the protocols our military officers.
That's not open science and that's not citizen science. That's lack of science, totally. Right? So that's yeah, because it's a public health issue, so it should have been a
done
public health measure.
by health practitioners,
The ones in authority.
the ones who have
Yeah.
knowledge, full knowledge, and the capacity to formulate protocols or anything that measures. Yeah.
Just to follow up on that, what do you think are the impacts of open science and citizen science on the traditional research process?
Yeah, so open science, it has enormous impact. And for one, researchers need to start rethinking how we do science. So we don't rethink our methods. Methods remain the same. But now we have to think of more things. What do you mean by more things? Like, if I have my data, if there are no GDPR concerns, privacy concerns, can I now publish it? Am I supposed to publish it? How do I include citizens in my research? As mentioned by Lava a while ago in this European project that I have, to include the European Citizen Science Association. So now there are really more things to think about, and there's also more responsibility. Ngayon, it's not sufficient that we publish in scientific journals, we should also publish in popular literature. So it's one thing to publish in books and journals, scientific journals using scientific language, and it's quite another to publish in newspapers, in Facebook, in LinkedIn, to make sure that our results are digestible by the general public. That becomes a responsibility, and that's a direct impact. Right, so and again, I'm speaking from the perspective of researchers because that's an area, that's an avenue that I'm very familiar with. But from a citizen scientist perspective,
I just want to add that this is not the impact of citizens and open science is not just limited to humanities, the field of humanities, and probably the natural science, but also all aspects of science, all fields of science, anything that talks about science, scientific processes, should involve citizen science. This is the advocacy of researchers, scientists that are engaged in citizen science or open science approach.
yeah, no, so it really has a lot of impact. Lalo na sa mga mananaliksik kasi napakaraming kailangan gawin na hindi namin dati ginagawa. So yun nga, simpleng bagay na pagsasali ng mga citizens, hindi yun madali. Kasi kailangan mo gawin yun using scientific processes and methods. You want to make sure that when you include citizens, you do it in following normal scientific methods, acceptable scientific methods, and that's not easy. Yeah, because we're used to doing things just like, just us and citizens as participants, not citizens as scientists.
But you know how it is working with homogeneous people, with the same.
It's easier.
It's easier.
Yeah.
But this time, you're trying to expand your how do you put that?
You expand your processes, you expand every
capacity to other kinds of types of people.
I
So
mean,
it's a challenge.
now we need to maintain, for example, LinkedIn accounts, we need to maintain Facebook accounts. Why do we need to do that? Because that's a way of spreading our research. Lalo na kung hindi ka big sa social media. I mean, I just use
like both of us, we're forced to have Twitter account now.
I don't have Twitter, but my project has a Twitter account.
Yeah.
The university
Everybody
has.
has, but personally I don't have. So, but I am forced to get a Twitter account just for expansion of information.
No, but it's very exciting. Even if I say it's a lot of work, it's very exciting work because we're forced to think of relating our research to public good.
Or to
To
come
society.
out
of the box. You're always forced to think out of the box, and to think out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, but the box is so comfortable.
You're like a car.
Yeah. Okay, just last one question. When you are doing a research project, how long it usually lasts?
Yeah.
And for example, because some researchers just do a field work, and after they have done with the research, they just go out and go back to the country where they been. So, and that's the challenges of recruiting like participants and different actors involved was a big challenge.
Yeah. Yes. So the answer to the question is, of course, it varies. When it comes to research funding provided by the Commission or the Norwegian Research Council, it usually lasts for 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So funding lasts for 3 to 5 years. For the European Commission, it's normally 3 years. Yeah. And of course, how big the funding is depends on how big the project is. Yeah. No. So that's the strict duration. Now, when it comes to gathering data, again, it really depends on your goal, and it depends on the population and the sampling you need, right? So, I mean, if I only need 5 people, then that's quite easy, especially if these 5 people are accessible. But if you need 5 regulators, that's not necessarily easy, especially from the Philippines. I did a study where I needed to interview Philippine regulators. Yeah, that was extremely challenging because because I asked one regulator said, "Can I interview you?" Said, "I don't have time. I'll send you to somebody lower than me." And that person lower than me said, "I don't have time. I'll send you to somebody lower than me." And then the person said, "Okay, I'm fine. Interview me." But Dan was always saying they didn't have the time. That can be a real challenge, right? And that can take a lot of time. Surveys also, the duration that you do a survey can also take a lot of time because not many people would want to cooperate in a survey. Right? So the duration really varies. Maybe if you're doing, and this is not just citizen science, open science, this is just general scientific process. If you're doing a survey needing, for example, 100 respondents or needing at least 100 people to respond, you probably need at least 6 months to do it, right? Depending again on who your respondents are. Now, you have a very important question, and the question is, how do we go back? Does it go back? No? And that's what we mean by post-research responsibility.
Or social responsibility.
It's a social responsibility of researchers to be responsible post-research. Yeah, it's post-research responsibility. Responsibilidad ng isang mananaliksik. Kasi galaduhin na ang kanyang pinanaliksik ay bumabalik sa mga tao. Hindi pwedeng sa kanya lang. No? And you're right. Some researchers go to countries, get their data, and leave them say bye.
Yeah.
That's highly unethical. Yeah? That's highly unethical. So I do research, and my research also includes the Philippines. And I have the responsibility to make sure that at least my results go back to the Philippines. Yeah? So,
All right, thank you so much. Oh, how about from our online viewers? Do we have questions? Annabelle?
Yes, Novi, we have some questions from our online viewers. Uh, One question is there any challenges in pursuing your mission and vision?
Yeah.
A lot.
challenges are just there. I don't think it will get rid or go away, even for a long time. So,
Examples.
a lot. For instance, yun nga, no, the perceived relevance.
Yes.
If you convince or if you ask migrants to join the organization, they will tell you, or they will ask you, ano bang benepisyo ang makukuha ko dyan?
And that is a very difficult question because we don't have any tangible things to show na makukuha nila or immediately, yeah, the immediate results. But on our part as an organization, we are looking ahead in a much bigger picture kung paano makaka-impluensya ang organisasyon sa bago ng pulisiya na makapag-impluensya din sa estado ng mga migrante, for instances dito. So that's one example. And ang isa din siguro yung, dahil we're talking about migrants, language. So dahil ang migrants dito sa Norway belongs to different ethnicities, so they're speaking different languages. So as much as possible, how do you call it? Recruiting members from different ethnicities. Just like the MCSA, we have members from Ghana, from Colombia, from Canada, all over the world. And most of them are here in Norway, but others are also outside of Norway. So that's our few of the challenges.
But maybe Jones has something.
Jones, yeah, I see about there. Jones, hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Jones. Oh,
Yeah,
you
hi.
want to add anything on the challenges?
Yeah, I think you said a lot of the challenges that we have, but I also think some of the challenges we have is people, the language barrier, which is affecting us in some way. Example, to register the organization has been a challenge for us, but I don't think that is a big challenge for us. It's something we can work on. For now, like Judy said, we don't have any results to prove. So at times, convincing people to join is a bit challenging. But then we hope that in the near future, these challenges we can overcome them and work and get it better.
Or even in the registration process,
Yeah.
here in Norway, all the registration forms should be in Norwegian. So
Yeah.
we have a hard time. Yeah, so that's a language problem.
Yeah.
That's the challenges that we experienced so far.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's our questions from our online viewers.
Okay. Before we end our session, can you quickly promote your organization and how can everyone join?
Oh, uh, to the migrants or even not migrants those who are interested to give or help be part of the advocacy of migrant citizen science, they could visit the website, mcsa.website, and they could just join, click the become a member page, and fill in those forms, and they will respond to you right away.
We have MCSA party.
Oh yeah, a barbecue.
Yeah, barbecues and
So if you're not a member, you can be part of the party.
Oh,
Oo. Sa tabi-tabi ka lang.
No, but we hope that you'd consider also because FHS is already doing already a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe one barrier among us Filipinos is really being involved in scientific processes, no? Meron tayong likhang takot. Hindi dapat. Kasi matatalino naman tayo.
Masyado tayong inferior.
Hindi naman tayo
From other
inferior.
races.
Hindi naman tayo inferior, matatalino tayo. Pinupush down lang tayo. Pero hindi tayo
Or naghihilaan tayo. But we can overcome that. And probably through having this kind of activities and functions, we could overcome this kind of fear, isolation, things like that.
And we can all be part of a
Join
change.
Join up!
Then we can all be part of a big change in
Oo.
society.
Yeah, so thank you.
Busog lahat.
Alright, thank you so much. So for those who want to join us, visit MCSA that website and you can read the further information.
Okay.
Okay, Annabelle?
Okay, thank you so much, Love, Rose, and Jones, for this very informative seminar. It is an honor to collaborate with you in this program. Keep safe always, and hoping to collaborate with you again on our future projects. To reiterate, we are the FUS, not the members of Migrant Citizen Science Association. This program is part of the integration and voluntary activities of our organization. Our purpose is primarily aimed at Filipinos and other minority groups living in Norway and Filipinos in the Philippines. For those who missed this hybrid seminar, don't worry. You can reply in our official Facebook page at fus.org.no and watch it in our YouTube channel, the Filipino Helping Society in Norway. Visit our website as well, www.fusnorge.org for more updates, other information drive, and to know more about our organization. We also want to promote the Team Newbies in Norway's activities and programs. ProCafe, our monthly seminar, Tips to Newbie in Norway's. We warmly welcome our new set of volunteers.
Right, so and if you are passionate to help and want to utilize your skills, competence, and talents in serving others, please be one of us and be part of our community. You can register as a member and volunteer for free and through the website. There are several benefits for all the FHS members and volunteers. Again, visit our website www.fhs.org, and on behalf of the Philippine Scale Pesangkon Inorge, FHS, I would like to thank first the great people who put lots of effort in preparing for this program, the FHS Newbie in Norway team, and our technical team, Kashmir and Yaxi. I would also like to thank you all for watching the program and making this as productive as possible. Lastly, to Love, Jones, and Rose of MCSA. Thank you so much for your time again. This has been Novi.
And this is Anafe, wishing everyone a safe, calm, and cozy Saturday.
Have a great weekend, everyone.